coming up on The Solo Show.
He wanted to do a documentary to show the interactions of Star Wars fans with Star Wars actors. And he got a lot of great footage. I mean, there was a guy that showed up with, he made a shirt and it had my face on it and all kinds of stuff from the poster. And it was a great experience. Yeah, he followed us around and got to get that and got some really great footage. You know, I've been a filmmaker for 30-something years. I always want to give back because I know how hard it is, how hard this industry is for filmmakers.
Stan welcomes Eric Walker from the All For Sci-Fi podcast and documentary filmmaker Tom Grove as they discuss Yub Nub, the Forgotten Ewok Adventures. This and much more coming up right now on The Solo Show, brought to you as always by Victor Naraki Realtor, serving Disney and the greater Orlando area with celebratingflorida.com and disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Realtor Victor Naraki makes living near Walt Disney World a reality, specializing in all the communities surrounding Disney. Whether you're looking to relocate or invest in a new property, maybe you want a vacation home for your retirement. With over a decade of experience in the area, Victor will adapt to your needs, help you find the right property, or get you the best price for your property. Reach out to him today on his website, celebratingflorida.com, or at disneyatyourdoorstep.com. Follow him at Victor Naraki Realtor on Facebook, and don't forget to tell him that The Solo Show sent you.
Hi, I'm C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations, and you are listening to The Solo Show.
Broadcasting from the Solo Studios, located in the Yub Nub Grub Hub on the Forest Moon, here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in the center of North America, on this little planet we call Earth. This is The Solo Show. On this adventure, Stan welcomes Eric Walker from the All For Sci-Fi podcast and documentary filmmaker Tom Grove to the Solo Studios. We are discussing the documentary film Yub Nub, The Forgotten Ewok Adventures. Not in theaters yet, but hopefully coming soon. Stay until the end of the podcast to hear how you can support this amazing project. And now, please welcome your host, the man who conducted the All Fuzzball Choir in their command performance on Coruscant. Here's Stan Solo.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Solo Show. I am Stan Solo as always, and joining me today we got an international guest host group in the Solo Studios. We're going to start off with the guy that came in first as the Solo Studios, Tom Grove, all the way from Portsmouth, UK. Tom, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here.
All right. And also joining us, you know him, this is his third time on the Solo Show, Eric Walker, the original Mace. Eric, how are you today, and welcome back.
Thank you so much, Stan, for having us on the show. I'm doing good.
Okay, right on. So you two got together. We'll find out how and all the details. But Eric, the first time when you were on the show, you were talking about when you were on the Ewok Adventures. I guess, was it George Lucas that gave you a camera?
Well, I mean, obviously he had to prove it. I think the set teacher, what had happened was the first couple weeks we were filming, we were still in school, Warwick and I. Warwick Davis. And Warwick had brought his camera, and then the teacher said, why don't you guys do like a school project, like the behind the scenes things and interview everybody? And she got the producer to agree to it, or George. And so they got us a VHS camera. So we were like two kids in a candy store. I'm probably sure we were teenagers at the time, so we probably were a little obnoxious. But we were walking around interviewing everybody from the director, the producer, one of the costume designers, which actually she sits there and talks about Ewoks and how they only have three fingers, and so everything has to be made so that Ewoks could use it. And it's quite an interesting. We have quite a bit of footage that's never been released, and also my dad bought a Nikon camera at that time, so I was taking 35 millimeter pictures, so I have hundreds of them. So.
Wow. Yeah, because you were mentioning that the first time you were on our podcast and how you were trying to find an outlet to release this stuff.
I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about actually sending it to Disney or Lucasfilm, and I never did. Yeah. So I just said, nah, I think I'm going to wait. And then suddenly Tom Grove, who is an award-winning documentary filmmaker, he did a documentary about King Kong. You could probably see it online. Approached me, and he has a lot of enthusiasm. He remembers seeing the Caravan of Courage in the movie theater, because in London it was in a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
or he saw it on TV. Maybe he's too young.
He would have
But
been too young to see it in the theater. Let's get to,
probably Tom.
A little bit too young in the theater, yeah.
yeah.
So I take that back. But it was in a movie theater in the UK.
Yeah.
So, and I guess it got released on VHS and then later Laserdisc and DVD. No Blu-ray yet. So he approached me, and he's a big Ewok fan. He remembers watching them as part of his childhood. And he approached me. I would like to make a documentary about, because these movies are they're weird because they keep coming out, then they disappear, then they come out, then they disappear. It's like sometimes they're almost forgotten. And that's his plan, was to preserve this part of Star Wars history, which was from the original trilogy. I'm an OG. I'm not really part of the new stuff. And, as I mentioned to Tom, we love The Mandalorian. We love Ahsoka. We love everything they're doing. Great work, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, especially George's Padawan, Dave Filoni. But the Ewok movies were the first Star Wars story.
Yeah. So Tom, so you came along and tell us kind of what happened. So Eric was saying how you were watching on VHS. First of all, how old are you, Tom? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm 21 years of age.
Okay, so you were definitely not around when these first came out. You grew up watching them on VHS?
Yeah, I'm obviously 21 years old in the UK. So like Eric said, they came out in the movie theaters initially, but obviously when I came about into the world, they were sort of VHS. And I think they were like my dad's VHS tapes. He had, for some reason, he had them. And obviously I was at that age where he started showing me things. Mm-hmm. And obviously the Ewok movies were a part of that. Obviously I watched the original trilogy, and then sort of the Ewok movie sort of came from that. And they've, like Eric said, like they've always the Ewok movies have always been there, but no one's actually sort of stopped and thought, hang on, what actually are these? And no one's actually tried to pick it apart and figure out why they weren't as sort of popular as like Empire or Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. I work with a wide range of people. I work with people that are from the age of like 16 all the way up to like 75. And so I have people that are in your age group, and they're Star Wars fans. They're huge Star Wars fans. Every day we talk about Ahsoka, or we talk about, this. And I say, have you guys seen the Ewok Adventures? They never even heard of them. And I think you got to watch them. It's part of the original storyline of Star Wars. You got to check them out. So they go on Disney, but they are available on Disney Plus for people that don't know. You can see, and there's two of them. There's Caravan of Courage and the
Battle for Endor.
Thank you about it. Battle for Endor. So Eric, Tom, with a little bit about your history. He was talking about, you did the King Kong documentary. I'm assuming you're interested in becoming a filmmaker and pursuing a career with that. Tell us a little bit about your background with filmmaking.
Yeah, obviously, when COVID hit the world and ruined everything, I was halfway through studying sort of media and film at college here in the UK, and halfway through it sort of went in the bin kind of because of COVID, and we're all staying at home. But regardless of that, my teachers and lecturers I actually had at college weren't really sort of helpful. Like, they weren't sort of teaching us film. They were sort of like, here's a sort of slideshow, look at this, and then write about it. Like doing what sort of camera does what camera does this sort of thing, and then what microphone does this sort of thing, and it was that sort of thing. But there was no hands-on, go out, film this, take a picture of this, or let's watch like Goodfellas or Fight Club or something like that, and then let's analyze why David Fincher does this in Fight Club. Let's analyze this. There was none of that, and that's the sort of thing that annoyed me. And when it came to like the final sort of big project we had to do at the end of the 3 years, I picked to do a documentary because as a whole, documentaries are, I don't want to say easy, but you can pick a subject and sort of try and get something out of it. And especially for like, it was meant to be like a 20-minute short film. So I thought, I'll do a documentary because we're still sort of stay at home, locked down. So I'll do a documentary and do it on Zoom documentary sort of thing. And that's where this King Kong thing started. And I was sort of floating about with ideas and everything, and I had to do a pitch at my college to my teachers about it, and they sort of said, no, that won't work. But then the next day I got a Facebook message off the nephew of the man who directed the original King Kong.
Oh, wow.
And said he wants to be a part of it. So I emailed my teachers and said, look, I've got someone who's like related to the man who made King Kong. I'm going to do this. Sort of, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do it. But then,
I got somebody
like,
legit
2
here.
years later, yeah, 2 years later, it became into like a 30 plus cast documentary, and it won best documentary at a reward show called the Rondo Classic Horror Awards. It won best documentary and bits and bobs.
Oh, that was awesome. Congratulations.
Love it. Reminds me when I was in college, I had already worked for Lucas, and I went into this class and he was talking about 2-inch tape. And I said, well, they had 1 inch and then they had D1 and they have D2 now. So you can't teach me anything. So I'm just going to make a short, just turn it in at the end of the year. So I got an A in the class and I never went.
Exactly.
That's the other way to do it. So what was your inspiration to reach out to Eric and like, did you think like, okay, I got to do something else now with who's available?
Yeah.
Or what was your inspiration here? What was your thought process?
Yeah. After this King Kong thing was finished, I did a short series on YouTube called Faces of Horror, which was like 10 to 15 minute interview, like an hour long interview cut up into like 10-15 minute bites. So I did one with John Massari, who was the composer for a film called Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Okay.
And they're all interviews with people who'd worked in horror films, books and video games and comics and everything like that. And there's about 21 interviews I did over like 2 seasons. And that was Zoom interview based like King Kong. So after I did King Kong and this horror thing, I was like, right, okay, what can I do? What's still a documentary, because I want to do documentaries and interview people. But what can I do really what isn't sort of Zoom interviewed, where someone's just sitting at their computer talking to me and I cut me asking the questions out and then just have them talking. So then I saw Eric was announced to be at London Film and Comic Con, which I was going to attend anyway, as sort of someone paying a ticket and going to get autographs, because I go to it every year. And I saw his announced for it, and I thought, let's just message, because I found him on Facebook, and I thought, let me just message him and ask, would I be able to follow you around Comic-Con and film you for a documentary? And that's sort of where it started. And then it went into something I didn't expect, with Eric saying, I've got all this footage from the films. And I'm like, wow, I was just going to make a short little thing of me and Eric at Comic-Con, and then it's gone into something much bigger and hopefully something much better than it was initially going to be.
So you were basically asking do I have permission to stalk you when you're in London?
Yeah.
So Eric, what was your reaction when you hear this?
Well, his original idea was like, he wanted to do a documentary to show the interactions of Star Wars fans with Star Wars actors,
mm-hmm.
to show that, that kind of thing. And he got a lot of great footage. I mean, there was a guy that showed up with, he made a shirt and it had my face on it and all kinds of stuff from the poster. So there was a lot of neat things. And someone had me signing John Williams gold records or something, which I thought was very strange. And it was a great experience. Yeah, he followed us around and got to get that and got some really great footage. And then we continued to discuss it. And since, I've been a filmmaker for 30 something years, I always want to give back, because I know how hard this industry is for filmmakers. Mm-hmm. So I said, let me even help you. I have a 4K camera, so I could actually do the interviews for the people in the United States. So it's just continuously building. Like, we filmed Kevin Thompson the other day. We're getting ready to do Nikki Patello. Tony Cox is going to come on board. Peter Bernstein, who did the music, is going to do an interview. We're going to start looking out for the original producer. We got to find him. And also, there was an Ewok wrangler who helped get the Ewoks dressed. We're going to try to get him. He ended up becoming a pretty famous director. His name is Kirk Thatcher. He did The Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is on Disney. So we're going to try to get him involved. And I don't think George would ever get involved, of course, but it doesn't hurt to ask. I doubt he would do it, though.
Yeah. Having George Lucas involved in this would be like it's God right at the top. George Lucas is literally like...
It depends on how he feels about it, really, and if he sees some of the footage, because these movies were made for his daughter, so Amanda Lucas, and I think that's another part of the reason why he never pushes it so hard. But then the fans keep screaming back out at him, saying, we want this. So I think the fans alone help keep this alive, and very grateful to them and humbled by, all the stories they tell me. A lot of people tell me that Caravan of Courage is the first Star Wars film they ever seen. Because they were that age at the time. So, and they're different. You can't watch these movies and think that you're going to watch Empire Strikes Back. It's a TV movie. It's a family movie. Ewoks: A Battle for Endor. It's a little bit different. It's closer to Star Wars. It has more action. It's actually my favorite movie, other than even though I die in it.
Is it decided now that you die? Because last time I talked, you weren't sure. You said, "Well, I could be just uninjured."
If Palpatine didn't die, I mean, that hut blowing up could have like destroyed my life monitor, and I may have been just there hurt.
You can take a lightsaber through the gut now, and you don't die in Star Wars.
Yeah, right. That's so
somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, somehow. It was the
Mace could still be alive. Who knows? Hey, John. Hey, Dave. Bring me back. Go have the Mandalorian go to Endor, and you see Mace with the Ewok.
You mentioned how George made these for his daughter. Maybe you can get her daughter to come on.
Amanda Lucas.
Her remembrance of the movies would be an interesting take.
She's in some of the footage that we have. So is George. So is Linda Ronstadt, which was his girlfriend at the time.
That is nice. That's so nice. Now, making these type of documentaries, like you're running around, you're doing interviews, and Tom, I'm sure you're going to be trying to, doing interviews as well, and all the equipment and everything you need isn't cheap.
It is not.
It is not cheap. So this is where the kicker is. You have to get Kickstarter to help you with this.
Right. Exactly. And if we don't get all the funds, we don't get anything. So if you guys want to see this finished, you need to go to Kickstarter and look up Yub Nub, the Forgotten Ewok Adventures.
Yes. So that is kind of the reason why I wanted to do this podcast today, was to spread the word about the Kickstarter program. I made a donation. It's in pounds, which is, you can easily do the math when you go to do the Kickstarter. But any donation would help for sure.
$1, $5. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if anyone wants to put any amount of money in, they can put anything in, like any amount they wish. But if you think about it, we need 30,000. So if 30,000 people put £1 in, we're there. We've done it.
Well, I can guarantee you 30,000 people are not watching the solo show.
Okay.
But I'll do my best.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you doing this, Stan. But thinking about it, logically, the reason why we like Kickstarter is because I don't feel like doing some crowdfunding thing where you don't get anything. Yeah. At least at Kickstarter, you're going to get a reward somehow.
Yeah, let's talk about those.
Yes. Go ahead, Tom. You know more about that.
Yeah. I mean, I've had messages about this, about maybe doing a Blu-ray release, DVD, some sort of thing, because obviously fans want something like that. But like, I've replied to some of the comments. I mean, at this stage, like having like a Blu-ray release isn't feasible for myself, because obviously I'm 21. I'm in the situation where I don't have like the biggest income and money to pour into it. But obviously, once the Kickstarter is completed, we can 100% do that. But with the rewards we already have, there's because with Eric's material he sent me, all the behind the scenes stills, you can get a like 4 to 5 6x4 like stills of like never before seen behind the scenes stills of the film, and you get the exclusive poster, you get a t-shirt, tote bag, you get a audio commentary with myself, Eric, and the composer Christian Jessup, who I worked with on King Kong and The Legend of King Kong, and my horror documentary, The Faces of Horror. And one of the rewards as well, quite interesting, the Ewok Warrior one, the top one, the £200 one, I believe it was. You can get an exclusive print by an artist who worked at Dark Horse, who worked on an Ewok comic. I forgot the name of it. I think it is like The Dark Moon of Endor or something like that. And you can get an exclusive print of sort of like all the Ewok characters. I think Teek's on there and all that sort of stuff.
Very cool, very cool. You forgot the most important one, and that's myself as a donor, that I'm most looking forward to seeing is in the credits, Stan Solo.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Your name in the credits, yeah.
Name in the credits if you donate to Kickstarter. That's the thing that is my biggest incentive to get into is finally get my name in a movie.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's a great thing.
There might be other rewards later, but we'll find out later.
Yeah, we're working on other rewards at the moment, but they'll be coming soon.
Yeah. And what's great about with Kickstarter is, I think, like Eric said, is it's not a gamble. It's not like you're just giving your money and you're never going to see it, because if you don't if you don't get the money, the total amount, then it doesn't get the money doesn't go to nothing. You don't end up spending anything. But the goal is to meet the goal.
Yes,
If
the
that
goal
makes
is to
sense.
get
Am I saying
funded.
this wrong? Yeah, it's not like as if the documentary doesn't happen and you don't lose your money, because the documentary is going to happen if they get the goal. Is what the goal is.
The thing is, if the Kickstarter doesn't work and we don't get that amount, we'll find another way. We always find a way. This is the way. We will find another way of getting the money for it.
Yeah. Now, I did see on Facebook, or did I miss it, that you got, for people that don't know, Warwick Davis was the Ewok that played Wicket in the Return of the Jedi movies and also in the Ewok Adventure movies. Was I wrong, or did I see that you got Warwick Davis agreed to come on?
Yeah, Warwick Davis was messaging with his wife, and he's very busy right now working, but she said that Warwick would be happy to help once he gets done with that. And then at that time, he's in the UK, so Tom's going to have to go do the interview there with Warwick.
Oh, poor Tom.
Yeah. So we've got a confirmation that Warwick Davis wants to help out and wants to be in it somehow. So that's a big win on our part, because it's Warwick Davis, and two, it's another addition for interviews and someone who is a big player in the cast.
I mean, the main Ewok, the biggest Ewok in the history of Star Wars. And I was telling his wife, I mean, it'd be a shame for him not to be there. I was telling her everybody else is coming, all his brothers and sisters and all that other stuff, and Teak, and so. Yeah,
I know, because I know when I was first looking at this project that you guys were doing, and I was looking at the names that you had with Kevin Thompson and all them who played another Ewok. Kevin Thompson, he was a stunt Ewok, I believe, and he was also Teak, wasn't he?
No. Kevin Thompson was Chukatrok. He's the Ewok that died, the woodsman in Caravan of Courage.
Yes.
And then in the second Ewok movie, he didn't have a character, so they brought him back to do stunts. On Jedi, he did stunts, but they now gave one of his characters a name, Chubray. He played Chubray in Return of the Jedi. So
so he's going to be in the documentary. He's an amazing person to talk to.
He is.
I've had him on the show. He has such great stories and a great way of telling them. So he's agreed to come on, and I saw your list, and I was like, well, where is Warwick Davis? So I was so happy to see that you were able to get him to agree to participate.
It just takes time, with people that are so busy like that, you just got to be patient because they're very busy. So
yeah, for sure. So do you have idea about like how long the documentary is going to be, or is that something that's going to be an organic thing depending on how many people you get?
I think that's going to be more of an organic thing, because until I get to the editing part of this whole adventure, I have no idea or any sort of aspects of how long the documentary is going to be at the moment, because we're still in the process of raising money and interviewing people. There's no way for me to tell it's going to be like an hour and a half or 2 hours. So hopefully it'll be sort of in the middle between an hour and a half and 2 hours, sort of like that sort of nice length.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was assuming it was going to be.
That's the other thing too, Tom. When we get further into this, I want to have discussions with you about how this movie came about, because I have articles from all the newspapers when he first decided George to do these. So I want to give those to you as well if you don't have them. And it was originally supposed to be a 1 hour special, holiday special, and on CBS. And then there was a bidding war between CBS and ABC got it. That's why it was on ABC. So there's lots of stuff that you could. I don't know why I'm bringing it up here, but
no, for sure, absolutely, this is great stuff. Because the other thing too that as a fan that I'm really looking forward to seeing is the behind the scenes footage that Eric had recorded while backstage and whatnot. Does Warwick still have all that footage still as well? Because he had his own camera.
He probably has as much footage as I have, or some footage. He might have more footage on the Battle for Endor, because then I don't really have that much footage from that. Right. So we're gonna have to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
See if he wants to contribute to it. Yeah, that's totally on Warwick. So
yeah, absolutely. Another good way for people is to please spread the word. Post it on social media that if you do participate in the Kickstarter project, or even if you don't, but you know somebody that might be interested in this, let them know. Reach out to them. Say, hey, I know you're a big Star Wars fan. Are you familiar with the Ewok Adventures? There's, Eric Walker and Tom Grove are making this documentary, and they're looking to raise some money. Here's a link to their Kickstarter program. So even if you aren't able to donate yourself, pass it on to somebody else, please, because I think this is an important project that needs to get done.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. That's exactly what I've been trying to say to people, that I know this documentary is being made by myself, who's a complete unknown, and I'm making a documentary about two films that they've got a hardcore fan base, but they're mostly forgotten by general audiences. And it's like, if you know anyone who likes Star Wars at all, tell them.
Yeah. Because
then it gives more of an exposure to the two films, and it gives exposure to me and Eric to make this documentary.
Yeah, exactly. 100% for sure. Eric, you are always so gracious with your time. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Is there any final things we guys want to touch on before we pass it off?
I think we pretty much said it all, and we said it even a little bit more. There's
nothing off the top of my head.
Okay.
Especially if you're a Star Wars fan, and then you have someone that you know is a big Ewok fan, definitely share it with them. So
yeah, absolutely. I hope to have you guys on again once you reach the goal, or once you're in production, and you see how things are coming along. Because
they're still releasing Ewoks.
They're still releasing Ewoks, that's for sure.
All the
time. They're more than happy to sell the Ewok stuff at Disney. Alrighty, I want to thank you guys for coming on. This was great. I hope we get some people signing up for you. And with that, Ken, take it away.
If you have a brilliant idea for a future edition of The Solo Show and would like to take your turn in the guest host's chair, then drop us an email at thesoloshow01@gmail.com. Tell us your idea for the show, and we'll contact you about a date and a time for you to join us. If you would just like to keep the conversation going or have a comment about a previous show, then visit us on Facebook at The Solo Show. All logos, sounds, and songs that are made by and for Disney and its affiliates are owned solely by the Disney Corporation and are not, nor are they intended to be, the ownership of The Solo Show podcast. We hope you'll join us for the next adventure on The Solo Show. Thanks for listening, and bye for now. And now stay tuned for a special message from Eric Walker, Kevin Thompson, and Tom Grove.
Nearly 40 years ago, I was cast in a Star Wars spin-off movie. I played the part of Mace Tawani in both Ewok movies, Caravan of Courage and Ewoks: The Battle for Endor. We love The Mandalorian and we love the stuff you're doing, but you weren't the first Star Wars story. The Ewok movies were. This documentary will be crammed full of never-seen-before video footage and stills from the set, from my private collection, and more.
It was made for children. Much now I watch our Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and you look at that and you go, wow, Santa's a jerk. We did these movies right after Return of the Jedi in 84 and 85. They were out of circulation, but they're back now on Disney+.
The reason behind this Kickstarter is because I'm a 21-year-old filmmaker who's trying to test the waters and get into the world of filmmaking. I've been given access to never before seen footage and photos of a Star Wars production. All this material has been sitting in storage since it was initially recorded. By backing this Kickstarter, you'll be immortalising all this footage given to me by its star, Eric Walker. You'll be helping keep the legacy of these Ewok movies alive. There's so much behind the scenes material of Star Wars, but there's one section of Star Wars that's been neglected. These Ewok movies are of their time, and so many, like myself, hold them dear to their hearts because they remember watching them when they were young.
What you'll be paying for is brand new animations by Cut the Mustard Animation, a full orchestrational new soundtrack by Christian Jessup, and also brand new original artwork by Mark Lemming, somebody you might have heard about or seen his artwork because he's done a lot of work on Star Wars comic books. I'm over the moon. I'm so excited to share with you on what we've been working on so far.
$5, $500. Hey, if you're a really big fan, $5,000. But we would love to have anything that you would be able to spare for this Kickstarter campaign. Thank you. May the Force be with you.